Hello everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I hope you're all doing really well today. I'm Lindsay, your host of the Heavy Metal Journal and writer for the Moshville Times. And today I am back with New Metal Monday, where I talk about my favourite new releases of the week. And today I have 5 brand new albums that I want to talk about. But before I jump into those, you'll probably notice that my background is a little bit different. I'm in the middle of doing a lot of home decorating and a lot of home renovation at the moment, so everything is all over the place and I don't have a workstation anymore. So this is just temporary until I get myself back up and running. So for the next couple of weeks, it'll be me and my couch. Okay, so first up on today's list, I have Barbarous with Initium Mors, and this is the debut album from the death metal band from the US. Now, this is classic, old school, chugging, incredibly ferocious, knuckle dragging death metal. It is nasty, it's grimy, but it's also incredibly groovy. Screaming solos, slamming riffs, intense blast beats, guttural growls, and chugging bass lines. This is incredibly brutal death metal. However, despite the fact it is quite brutal, there's also a lot of groove under there as well, which makes it a highly addictive album to listen to. It is ridiculously catchy. Now, what I really like about my death metal, and this album in particular, is how they managed to balance the intensity of that really brutal and ferocious old school death metal with a lot of really cool chugging groove to create memorable hooks. So if you are a fan of the likes of Cannibal Corpse, Dismember and Gatecreeper, you're definitely going to want to get onto this one, but I absolutely loved this. It's straight to the point, 29 minutes long of no-nonsense old school death metal, which is going to completely melt your face off. A fantastic debut. Definitely check this one out. Okay, so next up I have Victim of Fire with The Old Lie, and this is the third studio album from the death crust metal band from the US. Now there's quite a lot of genre fusion going on with this album, so you have a lot of old school death metal, you've got a little bit of melodic death metal, and of course you've got your crust and hardcore influences. Now, it's not very often that I include a lot of hardcore, punk or crust into my weekly videos, but sometimes, on occasion, you do have that odd album that I just absolutely love, and that is exactly what happened with this one. This is so incredibly addictive and so catchy, and you can definitely hear that punk, hardcore, crust influence in the energy. This is a highly energetic album. Furious riffs, heavy harmonies, and a lot of really cool, dense melodic moments. Now, it's definitely the guitar harmonies that attracted me to this album, and you can definitely get quite a lot of Iron Maiden dual guitar harmony influence from this album, and it makes it incredibly dynamic. This is a beautiful album. The guitar tones in particular are absolutely stunning, but when I say it goes hard, it goes incredibly hard. Like I said before, this is a very high octane, powerful, energetic album that's going to get you moving. You cannot help but listen to this album over and over again. It completely sucks you in and then spits you out and drags you back in again. I absolutely loved everything about this. Now, even though it is a very heavy album, there's quite a lot of introspective moments throughout as well. Now, the first half of the album centres around anti-war themes, and then the second half of the album, even though it is still very, very brutal, it is incredibly introspective as well. They've taken a lot of influences and inspiration from the English poet Wilfred Owens, and as well as hearing a lot of Iron Maiden influences with the dual guitar harmonies, they've also done a fantastic cover of their classic track Aces High, which is absolutely fantastic and closes the album out. So if you like Iron Maiden, if you like early In Flames and Dismember, you're definitely going to want to get onto this one, but I absolutely loved it. It was really the energy and the guitars that attracted me to this album, and I cannot stop listening to it. Definitely check this one out. Okay, so next up on today's list, I have Centuries of Decay with A Moment to Oblivion. And this is the second studio album from the progressive death metal band from Canada. Now, this is a massive sonic soundscape blending progressive death metal with heavy atmosphere. But not only that, there's a lot of elements of black metal and doom metal, so you can expect this to be an incredibly dynamic and layered sound. It's incredibly melancholic and emotive with a lot of really cool details details, but despite the fact there's a lot going on in this album, it flows seamlessly. This is a beautifully crafted album with a lot of really stunning and intricate guitar riffs weaving in and out of the vocal harmonies and the guttural growls. Not to mention that the drums and the bass lines are incredibly thunderous and heavy, and they really drive the album forward. There's a lot of rich melody in this album, but the focus is very much on the heavy, melancholic feel. So if you're a fan of really grand and muscular progressive death metal, such as Enslaved, Gajira with a little bit of Fallujah in there, this one is definitely for you, but I absolutely loved this. It's dramatic, it's melancholic, it's crushingly heavy, and beautifully rich with melodics. Definitely check it out. Okay, so next up I have Escapism with Skrenznava, and this is the third studio album from the atmospheric black metal duo from Ukraine. Now, look at this album artwork. It was the album artwork that really drew me in to begin with, and then I found out it was atmospheric black metal, and I knew for a fact that this was going to be a winner, and I was not disappointed whatsoever. Lots of tremolo picking, really gorgeous guitar tones, beautiful solos, and intense blast beats that just seem to go on forever. But there's also those harmonious, rhythmical moments throughout as well. But it was the keyboards that really drew my attention when I was listening to this album. They are incredibly well placed, and they weave in and out of all the black metal, and they create this incredibly haunting, ethereal atmosphere which is mystical but incredibly dark. But even though this is a deeply atmospheric album, it's also very bleak and cold. It goes harsh just like second wave black metal does, and the vocal style is incredibly rasping and venomous. So if you are a fan of any of the atmospheric black metal bands and projects that I recommend on this channel, such as Blackblade, Veldra Surma or Bloody Valkyria, this one is definitely for you, but I absolutely loved it. There's something very magical and mysterious about it. It's very cold and bleak, but it hooks you in with those really rich melodics. Definitely check it out. Okay, so last up on my list, but certainly by no means least, I have no idea if I'm going to be pronouncing this correctly or not, but I have Adelion with Refelver, and this is the second studio album from the post-folk metal band from Wales. It's Welsh, I have no idea if I pronounced that, I probably butchered it. I do apologise. Now, I think it was in last week's video that I said it's not very often that I recommend an instrumental album on this channel because they don't tend to grab my attention all that much. Well, I have another one. This one is primarily an instrumental, and it really did grab my attention, so I'm never going to say that ever again. I loved this. You don't need vocals on this because the instruments tell the story. There is a very brief spoken word moment at the end of one of the songs, but other than that, this is primarily an instrumental album. Now, they utilise the keyboards to create the folk sound. So you've got a lot of wind instruments, string instruments, a little bit of piano on the go as well. The flute in this is absolutely stunning, but it's the composition and the structure of the song that gives it that folk metal edge as well. But don't get me wrong, because the metal side of things is incredibly hard. They have mixed the electric guitar with the acoustic guitar and the thunderous drums really well with the folk metal element. And it's ridiculously catchy. I was actually really surprised at just how groove-laden and melodic this album was, and I can't stop listening to it. Even though it's an instrumental, there's no vocals really. This is a really catchy, incredibly super immersive album, and I absolutely loved everything about this. So if you are a fan of the likes of Agaloch, Sur, with a little bit of Eliviti in there, this one is definitely for you, but I absolutely loved it. I am never going to say that an instrumental album doesn't tend to grab my attention anymore, ever again, because I've been proven wrong twice in the last 2 weeks. Definitely check this one out. Absolutely loved this. Beautiful folk elements with a lot of crushing, cool modern metal tones. Definitely check it out. And that's it for this week's New Metal Monday. Once again, comment down below to let me know what you think of today's records. And if you have any of your own recommendations, please let me know and I will definitely get them added to my list. If you use Spotify, make sure to follow the playlist link that I've got in the description below, where I include every single album that I talk about on my New Metal Monday videos. And I update that every single Monday when one of these videos goes live. If you don't use Spotify, I have also included the band's Bandcamp links below, just so you can find the music that I'm talking about as easily as possible. If you want to follow me on social media, all of my handles are in the description box as well. Thank you all so much. I really do appreciate your support as always, and I will see you very soon in my next video.